This is Michael Woodward, and this is Season 2, Episode 90 of the Jumble Think Podcast.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Jumble Think Podcast, where we interview leading entrepreneurs about their journey of turning dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we'll give you some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. Today on the podcast, we're talking about finding what you were created to do. I want to encourage you, if you haven't subscribed to the Jumble Think Podcast, do it right now. Head on over to wherever you like to listen to podcasts and click subscribe. For iTunes people who like to listen there, go on over to jumblethink.com/iTunes. And for Spotify, jumblethink.com/Spotify. It will take you right to where you can subscribe. While you're there, leave us a rating and review. Let us know what you think of our podcast. Now let's jump into today's episode. Hey there, welcome to the Jumble Think Podcast. My name is Michael Woodward. I am your host. We have a fun episode lined up for you today. Before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors for today's episode, OpportunityInChina.com and Floxy. Here's a little bit more about our friends over at OpportunityInChina.com.
At the dawn of the 19th century, forward-thinking people moved to the commercial centers of Europe. Moving into the 20th century, America welcomed millions into the land of freedom and opportunity. It is now the 21st century. Many of the successes and fortunes of our generations will be made in China. To learn how you can seize opportunity in China, follow the Opportunity in China podcast. The Opportunity in China podcast is available anywhere podcasts are streamed, or you can visit our website at OpportunityInChina.com.
We also want to thank our friends over at Floxy for sponsoring today's episode. Here's a little bit more about them. You have a killer idea for the perfect graphic or website, but you feel stuck and overwhelmed by the cost and skills it takes to create those ideas. Maybe you lack the time you need to create them. No matter the obstacle, it's time to get that idea created. And our friends over at Floxy can help you create those killer graphics, the perfect website, or even create the copy that's used on your next ad, all at a low cost, starting at $349 per month. Their on-demand, unlimited graphic design, web, and copywriting are backed by a 7-day money-back guarantee for all new accounts. And you'll be working with a dedicated US-based project manager assigned to your account. There are no hidden fees, and billing is month to month. So check them out for your next project and for the project after that too. You can find them at floxy.com, FLOCKSY.com. Let them know that JumbleThink sent you. Today on the podcast, we are talking all about created purpose. If you've been listening to the podcast for any extended period of time, you most likely have heard me mention this concept of created purpose, but I've never gone into detail about what I mean and why it's important. Today, we're changing that. You know, the great question to start out with is, that's great, created purpose. What does it mean, and how can I tap into it? Well, I'm glad you asked, and we're going to go a little bit deeper by making you think for a moment. I want you to ask these two questions. The first question, have you found what you're created to do, or do you feel unfulfilled and stuck? Again, have you found what you were created to do, or do you feel unfulfilled and stuck? And the second question, do you feel like you're tapping into your destiny, or do you feel like you're living without purpose? And again, that is, do you feel like you're tapping into your destiny, or do you feel like you're living without purpose? Well, if you're feeling like you have found your created purpose, what you're created to do, or what you're destined to do, you're on the right path, but you still might not understand this concept of created purpose. And if you haven't, it's so significant that you find what you're created to do and you walk in that purpose and destiny. Over the past few years, I seem to bump into these people who say something like this: I feel like I'm doing what I was created to do, or I found my passion and I'm living it out. Or maybe even, I'm walking in my destiny. They always seem to be joy-filled, passion-driven, and completely walking in their zone of genius. Now, that's another term you might often hear, and zone of genius is different than created purpose, but they run in the same streams. Zone of genius is a term I hear all the time. We hear it on the podcast by guests who have stopped by and been interviewed, and they talk about living and walking in your zone of genius. Let's define that because it's a great place to start as we build a foundation on created purpose. Now, zone of genius is the mental state in which you actually thrive. It's much deeper than that, but that's the basic bones of it. The whole concept comes from Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap. If you haven't read it, read it. If you haven't read it, check it out, and I think you're going to love it. He defines 4 different zones of function, and the last one being zone of genius. Let's talk about them. The first one is the zone of incompetence. This zone is the zone in which you are engaging in something you inherently do not understand or are not skilled at. This is not the area you want to hang out. You don't want to be an expert of the incompetence. You don't want to live here. This is bad. Strike it out. Move on. If you're there, you got to get out of there. The second zone is the zone of competence. In this zone, you are doing what you are efficient at, but recognize that many people are likewise efficient at it, thus not distinguishing you and your capabilities in any significant way. These are the things you're good at, but you're a dime a dozen. You don't stand out. You don't shine. Everyone else is playing in the same sandbox. And again, this is a good area to know because if you're good at something and you're efficient at it, it's a foundation for zone of genius. It's a foundation for created purpose, but it's, again, not where you want to hang out. The third zone is the zone of excellence. In this zone, you are doing something that you are tremendously skilled at. Often, the zone of excellence is cultivated, it's practiced, and it's established over time. These are the things that you are excellent at because you've worked at it. You've crafted the skill. You've gotten really good at it. And this is a good place to hang out. And it can be a part of zone of genius. It can be a part of created purpose. But the zone of genius, the fourth zone of function, is in this zone, you are capitalizing on your natural abilities, which are innate rather than learned. This is a state in which you get into a flow, find ceaseless inspiration, and you seem to not only come up with work that is distinguished and unique, but it also, it's a way that excels far beyond what anyone else is doing. This is your natural abilities. This is tapping into that created purpose. The zone of genius is excelling in areas that you're excellent in, but it's also tapping into the abilities that you're created and live with. Zone of genius is a great starting place, but it is not the fullness of what created purpose is. It's a great foundation. Let's break down created purpose. First, we start with created, which stems obviously from the word create, which can be defined as to bring something into existence or cause something to happen as a result of one's actions. Or it can also be of an actor originate a role by playing a character for the first time. And lastly, invest, someone with a new rank or title. These are amazing, amazing definitions of create. And let's go further. Let's define purpose. It's defined as the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. It can also have as one's intention or object. When you put the words together, you get something that is kind of confusing. It takes a little bit of wordsmithing and wrestling through the different definitions to come up with the perfectly crafted definition of created purpose. I think here are some examples that you might identify with. Created purpose is to bring something into existence with reason and intention. Or it could be created purpose is to find your identity, which comes from the invest on someone with a new rank or title, to find your identity and to live that out with intention and reason. Created purpose is all about finding the reason you are here on earth, the reason that you live, your intention, and the existence that you're creating by being here. Many people, their lives are defined by mediocre existences. They are not defined with fulfilled intention and reason, and so they live every day without that purpose that defines their direction forward, and they get stuck in this place of repetitive action, of being not fulfilled, of being undriven towards a destiny that they're reaching. And so when they're stuck there, they're not living their created purpose. Now, that may be you, and if it's you, we're going to change that today, or I'm going to challenge you to change that today and come into your created purpose to find that new identity, the authentic identity of who you are, and to give you reason and intention so you can move forward into the future that you should live in. This created purpose comes from, in my belief system, a God who created you with intention and reason, not to place you on earth to live an unfulfilled, mediocre, half-lived life where you sell out to lies of the American dream instead of God's dream for you, for the reason in which you are alive. And so this created purpose goes beyond zone of genius. Zone of genius is tapping into the purpose of the identity God created you with so you can walk in the fullness of that created purpose and change the world around you. And in my opinion, created purpose is fundamental to being a person that has ideas and dreams and makes them a reality. So what do you do from here? What do you do to find your zone of genius? And ultimately, how do you find that created purpose that you can walk in the fullness of who you are with the interaction of how you impact the world around you? So how do you find your created purpose? Unfortunately, I hate to tell you, there is no get your created purpose quickly scheme. This is a long process. It is a lifetime of intention and choices and moving forward and evolving and growing and pushing further into that dream and destiny that God has for you. But here are some steps that will help you in the process. Step number 1, slow down. We live in a society that's overconnected, driven for fast responses, expecting everything today. We are in a rush to get there. If you want to live your created purpose, you have to slow down. You cannot fast track it. You need to do the work. You need to do the time. You need to slow down so you can get there. It's that old story of the tortoise and the hare. You know, the slow race wins. And so slow down today. Don't rush. Don't make decisions quickly. But when you have a decision, you do need to move forward. But first, you have to slow down so you can get there. Step 2, seek God and listen. I know some of you listening aren't going to resonate with this. You're going to be like, I don't believe in God, or I don't know God. I don't know what that means. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a faith person. I'm not whatever. And I'm telling you right now that you need to seek God, and He will reveal Himself to you. I remember talking to some people, and they said, we were running down this road of destruction where we were doing what the world tells us that is success. We had lots of money, fast cars, all the girls that we wanted to connect up with, we could, and all of this stuff. And they said every time we went down that road, it led us to this place of destruction. And when we stopped and slowed down and we listened to this small voice, all of a sudden it led us to purpose and intention, and we began to walk in what we were created to do. When they slowed down, when they stopped listening to the noise of the world around them and everything that they're supposed to do according to those voices, you know what they found? They found a small voice that led them to the place of perfection for their life, their created purpose. I think that voice is the voice of God speaking to them. It knew the direction that they should go. It knew the way that they should go, and you need to listen to that voice. You need to find that voice, and you need to quiet yourself and listen. Step 3, evaluate your life and giftings. You got to cut some stuff. You got to throw out the old stuff, get it in the trash, get it out of where it is. Get rid of the clutter of your the things in your life that are holding you back from this created purpose. Get rid of it. Get rid of it all, and begin to take stock of what matters for you. What are your values? What are the things that drive you? What are the relationships that bring you life. Evaluate those things, put energy in those things, and cut the rest out. Get rid of the noise, get rid of the junk, get rid of the clutter, and simplify your life. And the second part of that is to find your gifting. Start taking stock. What are you good at? What are you naturally bent to do? What are the things that people look at you and they go, oh, he can do that? And it's not work for you, but it literally is just something easy that you can do. Find those things that are those gifts that you have that make you so uniquely you. And then figure out how those fit into that purpose and destiny. You may have a gift for friendship in which people come to you and they want to get your advice. They want you to help them. They want you to push them in the right direction. And you might love doing that. And that's part of the things that just fuels you. And you may have a calling, a purpose to be a counselor or to be a pastor or to be a person that invites so many into their life to process those deep things of life. On the flip side, you may be really good with your hands and mechanical, and you can fix anything, whether it's a car or a watch or a clock, and you can craft and create, and your giftings are bent to that's just natural, and you love doing it. You long for the moments to be in your garage working on that special car project or in your wood shop crafting the next chair or whatever it is that you want to craft. Or maybe you are really good with words and writing and crafting a story, and yet you never write because you are being held back by the clutter and the noise of obligation, of work, of the things that hold you back. And so step 3 is evaluate your life and your gifting. Step 4, be intentional. This could go much earlier in the process, but I put it here because as you go through this, you have to be intentional to continue the journey. You have to keep going. It is a relentless pursuit of pushing into your dreams and destinies. Things will always pull you away from your created purpose. They will hold you back from it, whether it be something that you think is an obligation that you have to do or something that you think is fun to do. Those things will rob you of moving forward. Every day you have to wake up and choose to be intentional. You have to choose to have an intent in which you're going towards, a direction in which you're moving forward, and you have to keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. You have to be intentional in this journey. Step number 5. All right, face the fear and make your move. The journey of created purpose is often held back by those who won't step into the unknown and face the fear of, well, the unknown or of failure or of disappointment. And they never make their move, and they always stay in the place of comfort, in the place of safe, in the place of mediocrity, because they never make their move, face the fear, attack it head on, and move into that purpose, that created purpose. And because they don't do that, they never arrive at the place that they were designed to be at. Number 6, play big, but play for the long game. You know, it's easy to play big and burn out. This is the whole hustle lie. This is all the grind lie that I've talked about. Don't hustle, don't grind, but play big and play for the long game. Play for this is the direction. It's it's a long journey in the same direction. You're keeping on going. You're keeping on moving forward. Keep on a sustainable journey so that you can move towards this created purpose. Step 1, slow down. Step 2, seek God and listen. Step 3, evaluate your life and gifting. Step 4, be intentional. Step 5, face fear and make your move. And step 6, play big, but play for the long game. Now, there was one step that isn't a step, but it's a word of advice to help you on this journey. Do not do it alone. If you do it alone, you're going to burn out. If you do it alone, you're going to get lost in the weeds of obligation, of the things you have to do. You're not going to have clarity sometimes. You need that friend on your journey. Isolation is your enemy. Isolation will let you get stuck in your head and marinate on the fears, marinate on the voices that tell you not to do it. So don't Stay there. Get into a place of community. Get into a place of relationship with a mentor, a coach, a mastermind, with a community of dreamers, with a family of people that are pushing you towards the created purpose in which you were designed to live. It's so important. And it's not necessarily a step, but it will be a sustaining factor through this journey of finding created purpose. As we wrap up today's episode, I want you to go back to those original questions. Those questions of, have you found what you were created to do, or do you feel unfulfilled and stuck? And the second question, do you feel like you're tapping into your destiny or that you're living without purpose? I want you to answer those. Truly answer those for yourself. And I want to challenge you, if you are feeling unfulfilled and stuck, or if you feel like you're living without purpose, without a direction to move forward, you got to make a change. And today is a great time to make that change. Today is a great day to say, you know what? I'm sick of living the life that others tell me I need to live. I'm sick of buying into this American dream that says, if I have the big house, the fast car, and the perfect family, then life is perfect. Those things don't fulfill. Those things are great things to have along the journey. Having an awesome house is awesome. Having a fast car is really cool. Having a great family, no matter the situation, is optimal. You must have that. But the reality is you don't need a picture perfect family. You need the right family. You need the right dream. You need to find your created purpose. It's your turn. What do you do next? Are you going to step up? Are you going to make the move? Are you going to push forward and find that created purpose? I think it's time for you. If you're listening to this and this is speaking to you, I think it's your time to step into that destiny, to find that dream, to find that purpose, to find that created purpose and step into it. Make that commitment for today. Make that commitment for tomorrow. Make that commitment for 10 years from now. Make that commitment so that it is a lifelong endeavor. Evolve and grow and change and develop into the created person you are. Find who that person is. Find the things that drive you forward and begin to create a life of created purpose. Thanks for tuning in today. We want to take a moment and thank our sponsors for today's episode, our friends over at opportunityinchina.com and Floxy. Here's a little bit more about opportunityinchina.com. Have you been looking for a way to change your career or social prospects? Do you see the world around you changing and haven't quite figured out what path to take? You are not alone in seeking opportunity. Visit opportunityinchina.com for access to scholarships to attend university in China. Or if you have a bachelor's degree already, opportunityinchina.com provides access to jobs in the educational sector all across China. Working in China is not only often well paid, but it will place you among 1/5 of the world's population, boosting your social network, bringing you more deeply into the story of globalization, and opening doors you never knew existed. So seize your opportunity now. Visit their website for more information at opportunityinchina.com. By the way, they have a great podcast. Wherever you like to listen to podcasts, search for Opportunity in China Podcast and take a listen. I think you'll love it. We also want to thank our friends over at Floxy for sponsoring today's episode. Here's a little bit more about them. Floxy is doing some really, really cool stuff. Did you ever need a graphic designed, a website developed, or copywritten, but found that the designers and developers were too expensive and often took a long time to get your project completed? Well, Floxy is your answer. Floxy is your unlimited graphic design, web development, and copywriting team. Plans start at $349 per month with no hidden fees, month-to-month billing, and you can cancel at any time. So check them out for your next project and for the project after that at floxy.com. That's FLOCKSY.com. And let them know that Jumblethink sent you. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope it's encouraged you on your journey of finding your created purpose so you can chase those big ideas and dreams you have and change the world around you. So it's up to you now. Get out there, chase those dreams, chase those ideas, and change the world around you.
Les mères de famille, les enfants, de peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.